We're ready for round 8.
Yeah, your boy HD is still here, just trying to fix up some things, move these names into the right places, all that kind of thing. But we have storm on storm violence about to happen in Thomas Lippman's set 2 Union Force Trunks and Nahai Rudergarn.
Still trying to answer that age-old question of which one of these leaders do that deck better.
Yeah, and I think this is a great way to find out.
Yeah. To answer the question, is Shenron doing well? Yeah, on our side stream, we actually have Trey Faircloth playing Willie Newsome, Janimba versus Shenron.
He's playing Willie Nelson? That's awesome. I didn't know he
Willie
played this
Newsome.
game. Willie knew something.
Newsome.
Let me do the text scroll here.
Shenron definitely has some presence here. Not all of it, but definitely some of it.
Do we know the records of these players?
They are both undefeated. This is table 1 we're watching right now.
Oh, okay. So we figured we had to get some kind of table 1 action going on here.
Indeed.
Earlier, it was not Storm. Actually, I think there was one Storm and an Android player at table 1.
Correct.
So, side stream link. There isn't a link to the side stream, but they are recording it, from my understanding.
So turn 1, we see Tom doing the thing where he plays the guys and turns them sideways. Very dynamic.
Boosted draft, 25 and 26.
So it's really interesting how surprisingly similar these different leaders are. You know, I think one of the selling points back in the day is that you would use Mai as a free blocker.
Right.
But then the meta evolved. We were using Jean alongside Bardock as a blocker, which really eliminated a lot of what made Trunks unique. At this point, it's primarily the draw 2 versus the untap 2.
The dose. No, from my understanding, there is no side stream. There is another event being recorded, which is the other table that we showed previously in round 7, but that's not being streamed. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this is table 1, guys, as Richards had said. And yeah, I'm interested to see how these two particular leaders handle the mirror match, and what Trunks does with his leader effect to draw, Hyrule does with his own leader effect, as well as his super combo. So you can argue that Hyrule is still the better leader, but every single version of Storm finds their benefit in their own ways, but it all ends up being the same. And I'm going to have to stay on top of life in this matchup like crazy, because it's going to change very often.
Right. Let me actually check in and have Rishi move his life a little bit closer.
Yeah, sure. I think Hyrule might be at 5 with... Rishi at 5 with Thomas at 6. I'm not gonna lie, guys. What leader would you want to see win? I mean, I know Storm is still set to be the tier 0. Personally, I don't know if I'd want to see Storm take it. Wouldn't be surprised if it does, but it would be nice to see the deck that everyone expects to win not win. If it goes the distance and then loses in the finals, even better. And no bad blood or any bad wishes to anybody playing Storm. But I just always feel like the statistic, I want it to be incorrect. I don't want Storm to win this, but it's so good.
It is. And in some ways, a deck that is like Storm, I think is important for this metagame. Because I think otherwise, Wish leaders might over-centralize the format. That leader is very, very powerful. But I think what we need to do is find a way to have a deck that is similarly aggressive and can win on the same number of turns.
Right.
But the turns don't quite take so long, and that it's a more skill intensive in a different way.
Absolutely. And we see a Nimbus coming out of Thomas here. Going to try and slow down these Storm attacks. Goten is going to attack into the Trunks leader. Going to look at the top 3. That is his auto. Shouts out to that Event Pack 2 Goten. I like Event Packs 2 rarity, like the foiling and things like that. I think it's really nice.
Yeah. No surprise, Rishi having basically an all blinged out deck. If you're familiar with the Majin Buu's candy shop, Rishi is all over the place over there.
Oh, okay. I think I know exactly who this is. Now that you say that.
If you need cards, he's got them. Next to ARG, of course.
Right.
Successor of Hope getting...
so I kind of like this play. He's capitalizing on the fact that he's under Nimbus by optimizing the amount of damage he can do. Right. So going for the double strike here might put Thomas in a really awkward position and maybe forced to go to 3, seeing as how he's tapped out. Doesn't have access to super combos. Probably not playing any kind of take life negates. Obviously, he's not because we're already in the combo phase. So yeah, it looks like Thomas is going to have to go down to 3.
You know, one of the important notes about this matchup is, so he's using that E Supreme Kai, which the text on the card actually says that giving the double strike is optional. So if you're playing incredibly clean, whenever you play that E Kai, you have to specifically say, give the double strike to the Goten.
Yes.
Otherwise, you risk only dealing 1 damage. It's a small thing, but it can be a very, very big deal, especially, you know, at a national event where everybody's trying their best to play as cleanly as possible.
Right.
So Rishi taking the more passive approach here.
Yeah, and actually choosing to pass, obviously, because he's under Nimbus. But yeah, choosing to awaken to kind of just guarantee that he has energy to defend himself and won't find himself in the same position that he just put Thomas in.
Exactly. Now historically, Storm decks like to go yellow, blue a lot, so they can save all their untapping for their 3rd turn of the game. But I'm thinking what we see here, we see yellow, blue for both players, and the reason for that is whenever they draw into their Sensu Beans, they need to keep those Sensu Beans online so they can stay in the game on the crackback.
Absolutely, and it's unfortunate that Thomas did have to charge a Sensu Bean because that's, like, you know, like you said, pivotal in surviving the Storm matchup. But I think also outstorming the opponent is just as important. So yeah, I don't know why I wish he had an option. I don't know if he did have an option to find a Grandpa Gohan. Taking the life only to get Nimbus just hurts.
Right. And that's the risk here. With him going yellow-blue, there is no way for him to get that battering laser online.
And the Nimbus in that moment actually stops Trunks from being able to do his combo and optimize his Awaken turn. So not going to be able to have as many cards in hand. And look, he's forced to then go ahead and search the adoptive father, Son Gohan.
Right. So what I'm really curious and excited to see is, do we see a Nimbus by Thomas on the crackback? He needs to find some way to untap here.
Thomas definitely needs to find his negates because he is definitely within a Mira swing. Rishi could honestly go ahead and just recklessly dump cards at this point just to make Mira that much stronger if he has things like a Bad Ring available. Also, we don't know. I don't know if both of these players are the types of Storm players that don't charge past 2. And if they don't, does that strategy change in the Mira match?
That's an interesting question. We'll have to see. My guess is he'll probably go to 3, just for the sake of keeping Battering Laser online. You know, one thing I noticed there is he's using Unbreakable Goku. We talked about this a little bit earlier. I think the green cell is actually a more correct choice, because if you're playing against a Shenron deck that runs the Black Mass Saiyan Devastator, that Unbreakable Saiyan is counting towards that 15-card count.
Right.
Small difference, but it can be an optimization that comes up, especially at an event like this. Those small optimizations are what helps you go the distance.
Absolutely. Ooh, and that's a card we don't see too often. Dimensional Banisher Fu.
Not on the main board, at least. So we see the last attack of the turn coming in. 20k double. I'm not going to be surprised if Rishi takes this.
I mean, yeah, like I said, he's in a very... Well, Rishi or Thomas?
So Thomas's Fu is attacking Rishi, who's at 4 life.
Yeah.
So if he goes to 2 here and has the bad ring for the Nimbus, should be a pretty clean sweep.
Thomas is under Nimbus right now, correct?
Correct. Yeah,
Gotcha.
So he's attacking with the Dimension Banisher Fu, which will be the last swing of the game.
And Rishi forced to go down to 2. And it seems like that's a situation the Mirror Match Storm puts itself in, is that if you tap out, there's so many attacks that it's easy to tap out, but now we can see what makes Trunks so different over Hyrudegarn is the fact that he gets to play these free My Blockers. Did we see any other decks in Storm? We saw plenty of other decks in Storm.
Yes.
A lot of really cool things. I highly recommend checking out the VOD. There's a couple of them there. Hopefully we can go through and clean some stuff up, because we did have some issues with the stream earlier on. But definitely check out the VODs that have the longer time codes attached to them.
Yeah. But even among Storm decks, Hyrudegarn, Stormfist Krillin, and Trunks are all present at the top tables.
Ooh, taking himself down to 1. Interesting choice here. Definitely.
And he has the Bad Ring Laser. I suspect this might close out the game here.
Yeah, so he finishes resolving Bad Ring's effect. Did he choose not to combo? Maybe trying to I mean, he's not at 4 energy, so he's not like he's capitalizing on Hyrudegarn's leader effect.
Right. Does he have the Furthering Destruction Champa? Or
I'm not entirely sure. I know Thomas has an Isekai in his hand.
Yeah.
Is this the last round? No, we have one more round after this. Yep,
Correct.
There you go. Vex has it.
Thomas playing Kami in the main board. How's that for some tech?
Kami in the main board. That's interesting. I don't know if I agree with it.
Shenron veggies, maybe to help mitigate that
That's
matchup.
fair. Well, this is table 1 right now, Society. But yeah, probably table 1 or an undefeated.
Unless there's a really interesting matchup that's going to be like on the fence for top 32.
Sure.
We may get that on if there's a real interesting leader that might make the distance.
Yeah, honestly, I would almost rather find some super crazy interesting leader that's like, oh my god, this leader we never expected could make top 32.
Yeah, Shinimba Mill is having a huge presence in this.
Yeah.
2 main versions are coming up. One of them being similar to like the list like Matt Coombs are popularizing, where it has the 1 drops and the 3 drops. But then a more aggressive version, usually running at all costs for Cheetah.
Yeah.
And being able to threaten for lethal and trying to burn the opponent on cards. Both of those versions are having a presence at the top table today.
It's an interesting choice that Rishi still plays Unbreakable. You know what I didn't see that people made such a big fuss about, and maybe because it's just so easy to play around now, but the Black Mass Saiyan, the Devastator, the card that when you give triple attack, if it fails to do damage, it will burn for 1. A lot of people were changing to Infernal Villainy Cell as their combo card in order to prevent the whole 15 Saiyans thing. So I find it interesting that Rishi still runs Unbreakable.
Not to mention, it's also useful to mix those up. So let's say he's playing 4 copies of it. If he does 3 and 1 even, at no point will Thomas ever see all 4 copies of those Unbreakables, which means he always has to at least consider it whenever he's calculating game.
You know what I just realized? I don't know if Thomas realized that he could still block even after Bad Ring resolved. And I think he assumed that he couldn't. Because there's 2 blockers on board, why weren't they used? Dynarts, no, I agree that it wouldn't probably have mattered because there were so many other attacks that could have went through, but why not try? Why not just block and go, all right, my blockers are gone, so if he still has another way to get me down, then he has it. But just to be like, no combos and hope for the best, you never know. It's one of those things is you miss every shot you don't take. Did we disconnect?
Yep, I was disconnected.
Okay. It says our internet is back, so they can try to refresh. Yeah, somebody said refresh.
Refresh.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, we are back. So as a Storm player, you know, my priorities in this matchup going first is I want to get to one of my Bad Ring lasers.
Yep.
And I want to make sure I have a 1-drop.
Yeah.
I usually find I don't want my super combos quite out of the gate.
Yeah.
So usually at that point, it's keeping my untaps. So when we see Trunks here, Thomas, he kept 2 cards, I believe. Or no, he kept 3. So my guess is one of those is a Bardock, one of those is an untap. Oh, he kept 4. So we're probably going to see 2 untaps, a Bardock, and a Successor. Something of that sort, where you have the yellow to guarantee you have your turn 1 play.
The Successor is preferable because it thins the deck out more than just drawing into Goten.
Thomas actually kept a Crisis Crusher in here.
Nice. Now, do you think the Crisis Crusher was main boarded, or was that added in from the side?
I think he's added it. You know,
what Shenron build has been the most prominent so far? Blue-yellow running the Gogeta package.
Correct. Yeah, Gogeta definitely being the most common and popular. I saw 2 other versions. One version by some East Coast players. We're really just focusing on at all cost plus Bad Ring Laser and whatever you need to do to get there. And then there's also some decks that was focusing on Shenron Bu, using the blue chain to go up to the 7-drop Ultimate Bu. Is on the fence of being a very viable strategy, even at a national level.
Crisis Crusher being huge here. Both players choosing to charge on and yielding in their turn 1 respectively. I gotta get back on this life game because it's about to be crazy. Both players sitting at 7 for the time being.
I'm gonna have Rishi readjust his life. I'll be right back, everyone.
Has anyone played Triple Flash Shenron? No. I think there was somebody yesterday in LCQs that was running Shenron GT, but I have not heard or seen it today. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think Rishi's at 6.
So I think one of the big misconceptions with this metagame is that Crisis Crusher single-handedly eliminated Storm. And unfortunately, that's not the case. Because
No.
in a lot of these difficult matchups, it's actually the ability to draw cards which generates advantage. And often, if I'm playing against Storm, I'm playing a Sensu Bean anyway.
Right.
And as soon as that Sensu Bean hits board, my Bardock is useless anyway.
Absolutely.
I know there's some Shenron boos that were competing. There's probably one or two that might be on the fringe of qualifying. I haven't kept in touch with those individuals specifically. Successor of Hope. I suspect we're going to get a Dynasty here.
Yeah, actually going into Adopt a Father, that's not a bad play. You have the access to a blocker, a swap target that's not going to take from life. As we saw, they went to crucial levels of their life last game from playing Bardock in these situations. They're actually both way more healthy than they were at this point in the game in game 1. So there's a swap to Scrambling Assaults.
Stacking 2 on the bottom. Rishi recently shuffling, or otherwise he would have been at a point where he just about knew the rest of his deck, but...
And the Unyielding, playing a huge part in the tournament in general. And there's Rishi taking advantage of that opportunity to double strike again.
My suspicion is because Thomas is playing the blockers as well as Crisis Crusher, he's probably not going to have room for pseudo super combos.
Right.
I don't think we're seeing any unbreakables on that front.
So this will be a total of 25 at Thomas's leader.
Right.
Thomas forced to go down to 3.
Thomas getting to his 1-up flute. May be helpful here if he wants to go for lethal. Being able to bounce that Crisis Crusher to turn on his Bardocks
Yeah.
could be pretty useful. However, I suspect that blue being untapped means Rishi is sitting pretty on a Sensu Bean. This comes back to your original point of how much does Crisis Crusher actually affect these matchups?
I mean, it does mitigate at least, I feel, I've been saying half of the attacks. For every Goten that comes onto the board was a Bardock attack that you didn't have to take. So you think about how many times we've seen Goten swing 3 or 4 times, that could have been 7 to 8 times, or excuse me, 6 to 8 times.
Right.
If my math is correct, that sounds wrong.
Correct, yeah. I understand what the point you're saying. The way I like to look at it is when you're trying to beat Storm, you need to hit to 10 points. If your deck has 10 arbitrary points.
Right.
Sensu Bean is worth 3 in my eyes. Flying Nimbus is worth 3. Crisis Crusher is worth like 1.5.
Right.
So in my experience, those two cards alone isn't enough to get you there. So you have to find some other way. That's where a lot of these mono blue decks are coming in. They're using Dimension Magic to give 2, and those 2 energies are playing Unbreakables, which are drawing cards, and you're keeping
An early Mafuba to stop the swap, you know,
Right.
can really disrupt a Storm's turn, because that one Bardock was what they were going to swap with back and forth.
Exactly. One play I'm really excited about here, I don't think it'll come up this turn, but Rishi actually sided in Peel-Off.
That's very important. I know coming here with, you know, my other teammates that are showing up as players, they were asking me, you know, what do you think is a crucial side? And I said Peel-Off, because, you know, keywords are being just thrown around right now. Giving things crit, giving things triple attack. A lot of these big bodies having triple strike. Just being able to say, just turn that off is very important.
Absolutely.
Especially with the ruling change now that Peel-Off does can hit barrier.
Correct.
Not that you don't have a lot of cards that can interact with Peel-Off in that same timing that would make a difference, but the fact that we have that available to us now is very important.
Right. And one thing I think we're going to see with Rishi is that if he can't play this Peel-Off, he's going to hold on to it and try to keep that hidden information for game 3.
I actually think Rishi is at 3.
No, it looks like 4.
No, 4. It is 4. Okay, so I was right.
4, 2, 3.
I've been doing good. I'm doing good. Do Gohan Wish make any waves? Not that I've seen some.
Yeah. So honestly, I heard a lot of whispers about it in the last week, but no, I haven't seen one single Wish Gohan leader.
So from my understanding, you're great at deck building. Did you also see how great he is against the current counter meta? He literally gets over every counter in the game.
Right.
You can't peel off him. You can't Mafuba him. You can't Nimbus him.
Correct.
So
because Call of Justice untaps your leader.
Exactly.
You can attack multiple times.
So it doesn't matter if you use any of those counters. Gohan, Shenron Gohan can get over it, and I was really trying to make that leader work because I was like, that would have been the ultimate meta call, but unfortunately, no one had found a way, or they may not be a way just yet to make him viable.
The big issue with some of these Wish leaders is finding a way to awaken on time. Shenron can consistently do it on 3. Everybody else hasn't quite got there yet.
You have to play multiple cards to get Gohan to do it. You have to play like the Bulma that drops things for 1. And early calls of justice are very important.
So he hit the Nimbus on the leader. My suspicion is that was actually a bait by Rishi.
Do you think that was a bait?
Yeah, attacking with his leader first. That says to me that.
I mean, yeah, I don't see Rishi as someone that will do that for no reason. He might have just also wanted the card draw and didn't really care about if he Nimbused or not, because with 2 Mai's on the board, he was like, "What am I really gonna do right now?"
So, are there any cards in the format that could put Rishi in a advantageous situation here? Because these 2 Mai's are going to put in work over the next 2 turns.
Yeah, for sure. The 2 Mai's are definitely going to put in work. And there's Scientist Fu. I had to put on the animation. And Thomas definitely learning from his last game that probably activating those blocker effects will make a big difference. I can't think of a card off the top of my head right now that'll really change this outcome. He doesn't have any kind of mass killing cards, nor does he play a deck that would run a card like that. So,
Kami could be useful if Thomas overextends.
Kami could be useful if Thomas continues playing smart. He can easily play around that.
Right.
I think at this point he doesn't need Crisis Crusher on board anymore. The threat of Bardock isn't too insane. Maybe when Rishi's around 3 life, then he can really get rid of Crisis Crusher. But it's still putting in work.
Right. But what I like about that Floodgate is, the way the combo mechanic works in this game.
Yeah.
Is anytime Thomas decides he wants to have his 1-drops online, he just needs to swing with his leader, combo it. He'll draw a card because of Trunks' effect. Or no, that's only from hand. But it creates the opportunity to turn that off.
So somebody had mentioned Massane. Massane can't get rid of blockers, Society. So, oh, you said no, I mean Warp Fu. Warp Fu would help, but it only gets rid of 1 target.
One of the interesting things about unyielding Trunks, I know that's a topic of conversation in the chat, is unyielding Trunks is actually one of the best checks to cell chain in the game. By giving yourself extra energy on your turn to make more plays, you can manually decrease the size of your hand and minimize that impact that cell chain has on you.
I feel like unyielding is one of those things, and I can't think of the term right now, but it's kind of, I guess you could say it's a double-edged sword. There are a lot of reasons why it is needed in the game, and there's a lot of reasons why it could be exploited, like the way Storm does it.
Correct.
But yeah, I feel like it's something the game needs, unfortunately. Because if not, other leaders will just really kind of shoot up to the top of the ladder.
Yeah. Thomas hitting that risky number 4. I'm really curious to see if he combos the Crisis Crusher here and try to keep under 4.
No, he's still at 3. I think you're counting his leader. Yeah,
I did. Yeah, correct.
He's still at 3. Mustang, most people have been okay. Our bitrate actually isn't very high at all. That way it can accommodate those who are on mobile. So I apologize if you're having issues. Could be a service from your end. All right, then we see Hoy actually ditching a Goten, which I find interesting.
Bold.
Finding another one.
One of the really interesting things about this format is I almost think Chrono or Shigesh could have got there. I wonder if there was a Shigesh deck that somebody could have played to success.
Shugesh, I think, yeah, because Dusty brought up a really good point earlier that the side deck is becoming very, very hard to
Fit everything in 15
fit
cards.
everything that you'd like, in it. So because of that, things like Cronoa are getting cut out. And earlier we did see a Shugesh into Kid Goku's Papa of Perfect Force Cell. And I was just like, yeah. I was like, he's most likely not running Cronoa because he thought, one, no one's going to run Shugesh. And if they do, it's not going to be super pivotal. And two, I don't have space for Cronoa because I need these other cards.
Right, because there's so many scary decks right now.
But this is why waiting a year after the game came out was so important to before you really started to judge its longevity.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, some people might say this national event was going to make or break the game, If this was nothing but SS3, we wouldn't be comfortably averaging 600-something viewers probably. It'd be somewhere around 3 to 4 at best because no one wants to watch SS3 all day.
Right. Something I found really ironic is that in the grand scheme of things, Crisis Crusher actually does more to punish Hercule than it does Storm. And I don't think that's something that people expected right out of the gate. Being able to stop their one-drop hands from attacking, being able to blow up Announcer Ever Curious and then Play-by-Play Pro to ensure they don't have the 2 World Martial Arts Tournament cards on the field, actually punishes that leader pretty hard. And that's why I think its presence at the very top tables are a little bit limited because this Crisis Crusher card is ever present.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't see Storm lasting too much longer. I imagine there will be things eventually as new sets come along that will just make it more and more difficult for decks like this to exist.
I think Bandai is aware that there's an issue.
Yeah, 100%. And they would rather, I guess people would like to say
they'd rather organically address it than have to do something like a ban or a modification.
And I wouldn't say it's a silver bullet. Some people might call, their choices silver bullets, but I wouldn't say it's that because they can still be used in other decks and still be effective against other decks. But yeah, this particular deck is maybe hurt by future cards for sure.
Rishi looking at about 12 to 14 cards left in his deck.
Honestly, Grim, putting Bardock to 1 wouldn't change anything. You would have to be a little bit more cautious, but just put Successor at 4 and you're basically running 4 Bardocks.
If it was me, I would change the ruling on Bardock to you cannot swap the turn you play this card. So from a game...
Honestly, I think if you just make Goten and Goku's Lineage only, you fix the problem.
Yeah.
This deck does not exist without Goten. Let's just be honest.
Right.
You know, so Goten's Goku's Lineage only, problem solved. You don't have to hit on
you take away Lineage on the Goten.
Yeah, or you take away Lineage and make them pay cost.
Because what's important from a game design perspective is you want to address this deck without inhibiting the Goku Lineage archetype from suffering.
Absolutely. And I think this card was meant to be in Lineage, and that's what it's like. With Shugesh. The problem with Shugesh back then was, this should just be yellow leaders or yellow Saiyan leaders, And I know the argument at first was like, well, we only had like 2 yellow Saiyan leaders at the time, so it'd be kind of a dead card.
So Thomas chilling on 3 life while Rishi is sitting pretty at 4.
Cool Turtle, I think you might have missed what we said earlier. Unyielding, only tapping blue, sure, that'll help. But you start to let other decks in the format really start to run ahead of the crowd when you do things like that. So that's why just eliminating Goten. Goten is the reason why this deck is so consistent. Successor is is a 0-cost card that lets you grab either one of these cards. Bardock bounces back to your hand without you having to do anything or have a swap target. But what really allows this deck to extend is the Goten. And then we see another Banisher Fu.
So one of the amazing techs here is he has the option that he could move out this blocker if he wanted to.
He could have gotten rid of the blocker, but I think he's expecting Thomas to... Excuse me. He's expecting Thomas to probably block something here because... Yeah. Or if he hasn't fluted yet, he could just flute it when Thomas least expects it, and then that's it.
Right. So Thomas starting to look on the back foot just by comparing number of cards in hand. I'm guessing it's something like Rishi on 8 to Thomas on 4. I don't know for sure.
Yeah, Cool Turtle. Any deck that's looking to extend plays are going to be the ones that run Unyielding. And yeah, they are all blue. But I also think, well, it's because it's limited to a blue leader. There's just a lot of blue leaders who have aggro potential.
I believe there are 2 Super 17s in Top Cut. Danny Hype's actually been playing Super 17. As of, I don't know how he did the last round, but he had only lost once. starting round 6. Interesting to see what Thomas does here.
It looks like he took Kami. I guess maybe just to get the draw 1.
He is down on cards, so there needs to find some kind of creative solution.
It looks like he's beating his scrambling assault Goten. He's trying to protect it.
Rishi really demonstrating a deep understanding of this matchup. Huh?
Right. I think when you play a deck long enough, when you see it across from you, you really know what disrupts it. You're basically like, what would I hate to happen to me right now? And I'm going to try and do that.
Yeah, Rishi really demonstrating an expertise in this matchup. And I think I haven't seen anything outstanding that Thomas has done questionable. Having to charge that battering laser is a little unfortunate. Kind of as we talked about in the pre-show, battering laser is a pivotal defining card in this format.
Yeah, I'm calling this the counter format because it's very powerful counters that are very disruptive to most of these decks. So battering, yeah, is definitely something I'd rather have in hand. But maybe Thomas doesn't see the point, or maybe he sees this as his kill turn and he's like, I don't need this. Maffey or Mayfey, if that's how you pronounce the name, Marcel Russell is actually not here, and he unfortunately missed his flight, so he's not at this event. So it's comboing another Crisis Crusher to get the draw off of his leader.
I was really excited, though. I was talking to Gabriel Alonso, the DBS dad, earlier.
Yeah.
And he actually had Marcel's deck in his bag.
Really?
Yeah, so he showed it to me, and it was like 45 or 46 cards compared to the best of 1 deck that I'm going to play tomorrow.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
Really excited about that. So as far as attendance with Diabolic Duo versus Super 17, Diabolic Duo is more present by a very wide margin.
Yeah.
I think there are only 2 Super 17s in this whole room, but they are both
doing well.
Probably going to top. So it's kind of very interesting to see.
I would personally play the Diabolical Duo, but I see why people play Super 17. I feel like it's more of that preference of the restand option.
Absolutely. Is Thomas out of searches?
And this is interesting. Both of these players' life counts have not moved in quite a few turns. Banisher Food looked like it got rid of that dependable dynasty.
It did.
Maybe both players trying to play until to see who runs out of gas first. Thomas with his back against the wall might just be, playing it safe by doing this strategy. Choosing to combo with the Guinea, not bad. He doesn't have a Bardock on board, so she's not really doing anything else.
So I think that Goten is, no. Rishi's doing everything to protect that boy.
If I'm not mistaken, that might be his last one. Or at least the last one he's seen.
So 4 cards in hand, Thomas is at. All Rishi needs to do, if Rishi can resolve a Kami here, I don't know if he plays it or sided it in, but I think that would single-handedly wrap this up.
Yeah.
So I think the big reason we saw Rishi charge to 4 is just to be able to resolve that Harudegarn leader ability. To put cards on top.
100%. And it's very disruptive, that leader ability on his Awakened side. You don't get to see Harudegarn at this stage too often anymore because he's mostly Storm and the game's over by turn 2 and 3. But when he is at 4 energy, it can be so annoying depending on when he chooses to swing his leader.
Correct.
Leave your hand raised, please. It's the only way we will find you.
So it looks like Rishi is trying to really push to get down to 2 here, with the rationale of being able to, hit through a blocker, and then he just has to play 1 more guy, and then if he has the double strike, that can be lethal. We see it being in Thomas's hand. Of course, that Crisis Crusher can probably be comboed at this point,
right?
Especially if all the Gotens are gone. So
Rishi does have Bardocks in hand, but yeah, I mean, he doesn't really. He's probably not going to put too much gas into those Bardocks to try to swing at a 15k. So not much he has to worry about. Crisis Crusher seems like a safe combo.
Is that all he needed to do? Okay, so I see 30 on 20. Yep, and I think we might see the Crisis Crusher go here. I think it would doubly benefit him because then if Rishi does have the Kami, you're in a much better position. Yeah, I'm being picky here, but I think that was a slight misstep.
I'm gonna look at this this poll that DJ Cosmic posted. I'm curious to see the votes, guys. So definitely vote on that poll. I want to see what you guys think. Who's gonna be taking this the entire match?
Rishi drawing the Nimbus.
Minosha doesn't force a deck shuffle. No, I think you can basically, you don't have to trigger the effect. And there is the Creator Absorb Mira.
We're going to see that blocker go away.
I think Thomas here is looking to see if how many double strikes are there. But I mean, do you really do this just because I feel like Thomas should just block it. Don't play, you know, don't gamble this. Just block it. He overwhelmed. You're at 3 life. Why wouldn't you just block this? I feel like it's a no-brainer.
So the flip side here is Rishi is down to 4 cards in deck.
Yep, choosing to block.
It's very possible Thomas wins this on deck out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, don't be like, I wonder if he has it now.
Yeah.
Does Thomas really have 1 card in his hand?
He does.
When did that happen? How did that happen?
Ooh, untap.
Finding unyielding, a Sensu?
2 untap, and I can't quite see what that 3rd card is, but it must not be good because he's not considering it. Maybe it's a dead successor of Hope.
Looks like he chose the unyielding. Oh, no? I don't know, maybe.
Bold play. So 15K on that Goten.
The votes are only a couple votes, but 50-50 to see who would win.
Flying
There's a Nimbus. Does he have the...
Powerful.
Oh, no, he doesn't have the battering. Because imagine that was battering he drew on that last straw. I think Thomas, unfortunately, is running out of gas, not to mention the cards in hand.
Yeah.
Rishi has done an excellent job. Is that another unyielding?
Oh.
I think he drew another unyielding.
That's going to be unfortunate as Rudigarn starts to pin those back on top of the deck. So keep in mind, this Goten is at 15K right now. So we might see Crisis Crusher attack Goten, combo Kami, and then play Unyielding Trunks.
I like that.
Yeah. Hadn't had a chance to use the leader ability yet, so that's fine. Looks like I think Bardock the Progenitor might have been the draw. Ooh, no combo. So only stayed at the 10K. So that makes you wonder if he forgot about the Sensu being pumped, or...
Oh, you're absolutely right, yeah.
That might have been it.
And that was his last attack because he was under Nimbus? No,
No,
he didn't use the effect.
No.
That's a pass from Thomas, yep.
Yeah.
It's been about 4 turns, and we have seen no damage.
So we see Rishi being a little bit salty here that he drew another Nimbus.
Well, looks like we're going another turn, boys.
So we're gonna
Crisis Crusher, most likely.
Yeah.
Yep. Three cards in deck for Rishi. I honestly didn't expect these Storm games to go this long.
Yeah. Rishi seems real frustrated about what cards are left in life. Must include a double strike attacker or something of the sort. Oh.
This is very interesting. I don't know if I would have done that.
Very risky.
I mean, you knew what cards were in the deck, so, like, are you just hoping, like...
So maybe the logic here is there's another Dimension Banisher Fu in the life.
Either that or,
he's gonna spam Bardarks until he draws it. That's what I'm thinking. And, yep, there's the Fu. Nope,
No, that was Successor.
Ah.
He's looking for double strikers.
So he's going to bounce it back and he's going to play it again, I think?
Nah, I think there's a
No.
pass here.
I think he has one card in deck. I don't think he
Has
has
another
that
Bardock
luxury.
already in hand. Interesting. What did he grab? Is this a bait? I would do whatever I can to not go down to 2. You know he doesn't play triple strikers whatsoever, so you just avoid going to 2. But you should have to just dump hand and then hope he has some kind of answer. He needs an unyielding if he wants to go into, like, he can't do a mirror unless he has 2 energy, so a Fu would be his best option.
Right. Yeah, I think the play is unyielding here. I feel like he thinks he can win this, right? Because I'm pretty sure he would scoop if he knows.
Right.
So my guess is that you play the unyielding, untap a yellow, hit one of those 2 life, and hope within those 2 cards you hit that out that you're looking for. I don't see another line to play.
Thomas also still has adoptive father Son Gohan. I just actually realized that. So he does have a blocker on board.
Mm-hmm.
So this life just farther and farther out of reach for Rishi. Yeah, you combo like Kami here. Yep. 100%. Yeah, I think that's a scoop. Yeah, that's a scoop from Rishi. So we're going into game 3.
Wow. Pretty dynamic closing there.
Oh, I just closed my the whole thing real quick. Let me fix that real quick, guys. Oh, I love that. Fun fact, if you hit Control-Shift-T in Google Chrome, it just brings up the last tab you opened.
So how
Or
much
had
time do you
open.
think we have left in round? I'm going to guess 8 to 12 minutes.
Has to be, yeah. That game went on a lot longer. Like I said, there was a bunch of rounds where no life was taken, and the deck just simply ran out of gas. So we may go into time if we see something else like that.
We might. And being at an XO, I don't think that's anything that anyone's going to lose any sleep about, right? Because X11 at their worst day should still get that top 32.
Sure. But I guess, I also feel like when you're doing so well, it's very easy to, if you lose this far down the chain, to get a little tilted. You know what I mean? And maybe go into round 9 on tilt and potentially lose that. And then you're like, well, I went from being undefeated to X2, and that's a whole different story. But X2 losing round 8 and 9, still not a terrible tiebreaker.
I feel like you'd probably get there without knowing the
Honestly, I
standard in
feel
front of
like
me.
both of these players are automatically in top 32. Who knows? I could be wrong.
That was my opinion, yeah. Storm isn't winning Nats.
I don't know if that was sarcasm or not.
Yeah. I don't think it is. I thought it would be Storm was 3rd on my list. I thought it was going to be Hercule had the best chance. Janemba had the 2nd best chance. And then I thought Storm was 3rd. It's just scary playing a deck that's such a known quantity. But I'll be honest, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Storm took it.
Yeah, well, we're going to try to get you guys something nice for the last round of the
Yeah, it
day.
was some fun. Look at that gentleman's handshake.
That was, yeah.
They know that was a good game.
That was a Storm agreement.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we know what we're doing. We know what we're playing. Let's go into this like honorable men.
Full Screen Ultra, no. They will be using the same decks tomorrow as they used today, and I would imagine those lists will be published overnight.
Yeah, most likely the top 32 decks. I'm not going to promise when they will be published, but within the next 24 to 48 hours, I'm sure you're going to see them pop up somewhere.
Right. I believe ARG's policy is that if there's a stream for the event, they always try to get those up right away to make it fair for the competitors that didn't have their deck on stream.
Okay, yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Rishi going for the unyielding opening and a nice pass right on over. Let me get ready to start doing the life marathon.
The life
here.
shuffle, yes.
Yeah.
Charging blue always makes sense. Never know how much he needs to charge Sensu Bean.
I always charge blue first against Storm.
Super combo for the first charge.
Interesting. He's secretly playing
Desperate.
He's secretly playing that Goku from set 3 that says you can combo from your your energy area.
Yeah.
Rishi going down to 7. Oh, that was Thomas, not what did I just do? Cancel. Oh, I think that weird thing just happened that happened earlier, and now I have to fix this. Oh no, there it is.
There we go.
was actually Thomas. Or excuse me, Rishi that took that damage. Yeah, Thomas, whenever you're going second against Storm, you drop a blue and you leave it open. You don't, excuse me, you don't tap because, you know, that's a bean right there. That's multiple beans. That's a coercion if you have it. Dimension magic.
Yeah, if Thomas can't get to Crisis Crusher
Yes,
here,
top 32 club.
Rishi's going to be in a great position because he's going to be able to battering the Nimbus, and Thomas won't have a follow-up to that. Does he have the Crisis Crusher? I'm really curious. I think that might make or break this game. Because we saw how much the entire match changed just because of that floodgate.
So Rishi actually chose to pass. Why do you think that is?
Because he
Bad
knows
hands?
he can win on 3.
Sure, okay.
So playing Bardock means he does not have Crisis Crusher. So I don't think that's going to hit board next turn unless he has a Legendary Flute. He could go
fair.
Legendary Flute and Crisis Crusher.
Yeah.
But that may or may not be an overextension. I'm not too sure. Tensions are mounting in this heated battle. For you Pokemon Stadium fans out there.
There's unyielding, getting to draw off a leader effect.
I imagine he takes that because of the overextension combo-wise.
Another Bardock. Thomas also going down to 5. Life is dead even for both players.
So we don't see a Nimbus. I'm wondering how long it's going to be before Rishi drops the...
Does he have it
Senzu
in
Bean.
hand?
He has a Sensu Bean, no Nimbus.
Why is he choosing not to use it? Maybe
Because
trying to have the most
he's been
extension.
15 so far. So he'd have to use additional cards, and that's not worth 2 cards at this point. Once he got far, he can get him to overextend, or maybe he wants the cards in his hand.
All right, going for the...
Supreme Kai of Time,
Yep.
Light's Guide. A very, very cool tech in this format. So this Overwhelm is an Overwhelm 3. Kind of reminds me of Time Patrol Trunks.
Yes.
Gives you the benefit of drawing a card, but it also pumps your leader by 10k. Or 5k.
5K, yep.
5k. So that additional value is almost like a +2 compared to the +1 we normally get from Time Patrol.
Very true. Rishi going down to 4.
No fear.
Swap.
You haven't dropped it.
No. Swap for the Dependable Dynasty. Nice move here, considering Harudagon could awaken to get an extra 5k, but Dependable Dynasty would still be a threat.
Correct. We're seeing Unbreakable here. We know the turn's about to wind down, so that makes sense to me. And if he changes his mind later on, he can still play the Sensu.
Thomas bringing himself to 4 as well.
He's making it game time.
Then
Very
awakening,
bold.
so now his leader effect is available again. And there's the bean. Rishi just kind of throwing it out like, I'm beating this, sir, just so you know. Nice. There's the Caring Mother Videl targeting the Times Light. Oops. Times Light going to be swinging in for 20k.
Rishi's sitting somewhere in the space of 9 cards in hand, 10 cards in hand.
That was 20k to 15k. If I'm not mistaken, because Rishi only put 1 bean on his leader.
That little blue Harudagarn package, being able to use that super combo and net an extra draw off of it.
It's just a nice
that can
deck
be
thinner.
So intense. won't be surprised if Thomas chooses to end his turn here.
Yeah, 100%. You
Has a blue, only has 3 guys on board. Makes sense to me.
your attacks are done here. Unless he goes for something cheeky, but with Rishi having both energy standing, you just don't go for that here. Drummer Jim, I don't think that's ever been enforced.
It's been encouraged, but you know that's something that's at the judge's discretion, which other side of the venue from where we're at right now.
Yep.
All right, so big deal here.
I think that falls under the fact that both players are responsible for each other's moves and things like that. Right. So, you as the opponent, if your opponent sent you beans, you're responsible to remember that. Your opponent is not responsible to remind you.
Right. So we got the Dimension Banisher Fu.
He finds a Scientist Fu in that.
I think it's Dimension Banisher, actually.
Maybe. I could be wrong.
So I think he's in a tight situation where he also had the opportunity to get his East Kai.
Yo, I agree, actually, Smiles and Flowers. I want the stream, the feature match, the mats.
You're not the first person to say anything.
I want that mat really bad. Easily has become my favorite.
Rishi going for the board clear. A little surprising there. We see that he didn't like the fact he had to put the double strike East Kai in the bottom of his deck. So now he's utilizing Successor of Hope to shuffle it up and hope to draw it sooner rather than later.
Pendable Dynasty swinging into Scrambling Assault. And no negate from Thomas. No combos from Rishi.
Super combo. Thomas having multiple blockers next turn. This could get a little bit hairy.
Thomas is using the Trunks Leader from Union Force, Series 2. As they're Scrambling Assault going away. Another Successor of Hope being used.
Gonna try to extend his play with another Dependable Dynasty. Successor of Hope being part of a series of 0-cost extra cards.
Yeah, Colossal Warfare's theme, it seemed like. Very powerful card.
Scientist Fu. So we may see a lethal swing here. If Scientist Fu can go in for 2,
that's true.
Do we see any evidence of a double strike? I don't think we see it in Rishi's hand. He might just go down to 2 and chill.
Comboing a Haruto Gun kind of got hard to see there.
35
foiling, catching the light.
35k to maybe 9 or 10 cards in Thomas's hand. Don't think time's going to end up being a factor. Even if time was